Started out with our boss coming to us, of course, talking about this big new project, and he said we have the chance to work with Wargaming, and we were all pretty exciting.
So it was kind of challenging, but I really liked that opportunity that opened up for me.
But on the other hand, the team got very concerned. We have a lot of experience in the racing genre, in creating large open worlds, in gameplay based on real-world physics, but we never worked with something like tanks.
Hello everyone, I'm Anton Pankov, and together with my colleagues, we'll tell you about how we developed the new Grand Battle mode and prepared it for release. During the work on Grand Battles, even since the idea of these Grand Tank Battles appeared, it became clear that we wouldn't have enough internal resources to implement it completely by ourselves. Considering that the number of features we develop has been growing and they have become more advanced, to meet the spirit and demand of the time, we started searching for external partners who could help us with our tasks and our ideas, who could bring in something new, develop something by themselves, and turn these ideas into reality in cooperation with our teams.
About 2 years ago, Jean-Lee from Wargaming called me and told me, hey guys, you have this extensive experience in creating large open worlds and gameplay based on real-world physics. Do you want to help us out on World of Tanks? From this very moment, the relationship with Wargaming started to evolve and turned into this amazing partnership we are so proud of.
So our first interaction with Wargaming was that they said, hey, we want to do a new game mode. And we started doing some ideas, some brainstorming for how this mode could look, what mechanics could be introduced to World of Tanks that still make it World of Tanks, but make it a little bit more exciting. So we were searching for like endgame content for the tier 10 players to have something new.
Originally, the plan was to develop a huge mode featuring maps 9 times the size of the original maps and 60 players.
And while we were playtesting, we started to notice, oh, it's substantial game mode with really a lot of features. And it's pretty complicated. So let's start with something simpler first, because we had all these unknowns. We had the tier 10 light tanks coming in, we had the stun mechanic coming in. So we wanted to do something simpler first. And we said, hey, let's integrate these big maps, these many players into random battle. And we called it Grand Battle. And we wanted to be it like this battle type for tier 10 players, something exciting and worthwhile for them to play, while still keeping the rules pretty simple and similar to random battle.
We could not just do a map and say, okay, that's the new map for Grand Battle. We needed to sit down together with level designers from Wargaming. They needed to check our map if it's really good for World of Tanks. And then they suggested changes, we adapted it, and in the end it basically got the stamp approved by Wargaming, and then we could ship it.
But first, you need to do research. In this case, do playtests. A lot of playtests. We need to understand first whether the gameplay is okay, whether it's enjoyable and brings any new experience or not. That's why gameplay tests are conducted. So we started with this.
In the beginning, we did just a prototype, and we brought together some people from our team, from Wargaming, just core people, and we looked what is fun, what is the base of the mode we want to do. And then later we brought in more people, made playtests, saw how it went. And then in the end, we said, okay, let's try for the public.
At one particular point in development, which was really close to sandbox release of Grand Battles, we found out that for some reason the game doesn't work on minimum spec machines anymore, which is a big problem because you miss out a large amount of the player base.
But our level artists and our tech artists spent quite a lot of time to improve the overall performance in the map by keeping in line with the overall visual quality for World of Tanks. We managed into the thresholds of the acceptance tests, and we passed that test, so that's why that map is released.
After the test on Sandbox, we realized that the map was good. It worked well in this game mode, and continued working on the map. So we started adding more substance to the mode itself. We started thinking about whether personal missions and missions should be there, how statistics should be formed, whether players should receive medals, and so on and so forth.
We talked a lot, we discussed a lot these personal missions and medals, should you earn them in Grand Battle, because in general it's the same mode, but it's a little bit different. You have more players, so you have different chances and possibilities. We talked about this a lot, and we found that yes, you should earn them, because we think it's important that players can also progress in our mode, in Grand Battle, because it's the same, you enter with the same queue, and so players should be able to do them. Some of the missions will be easier, of course, some will be harder, but I think that's the fun part for players to find out if they can do them, right? What I think is also very cool is the ability that you can now earn bonds, really in a mode where you don't need to be a superhero, right? So ranked battle, normally you need to be really good to earn bonds, but in our mode, in Grand Battle, you can earn them even without being this super guy.
The next stage is Super Test. It's a pre-release stage, when a feature, any feature, first goes to Super Test. Then there's a common test with several iterations, and finally, there's the release itself.
When the day finally came where we wanted to release it, so we submitted it to Wargaming and they looked at it and everyone was nervous. We also had people from Wargaming here then on our side to give us support if something goes wrong, and everyone was really hyped. And then when we finally submitted it, everyone felt this relief to have accomplished something really great.
So right now Grand Battle is in a beta mode. So it's not done yet, but we're still working on the performance, we're still working on the issues that it has. What I can say is that in the future performance will improve for this mode and also for Frontline. So we're working on improvements to the engine and to the performance and also on the stability. So I think in the future it will improve and we can remove this beta flag and the mode will be released finally.
Of course, we understand that Grand Battles are only the first step, test of the pen, so to speak. And we have a lot of work to do in the future. But as the Halloween and Grand Battle modes showed, this successful experience of working with other teams, including Western teams, opens up absolutely new horizons. New opportunities in quantity and quality of big gameplay features that we can present to players. This is all done to speed up the process of development, to work more with the Western studios that have good knowledge of the needs of Western players and have rich experience in portfolios. So Grand Battle became, like I said, the first steps. I would like to express special thanks to the Bongfish studio. The guys really did a lot of work, and the quality of their work inspires respect. We will continue working together on the development of the Grand Battle mode and on the further development of the idea of many vehicles on the larger maps. So it's a big and important direction for us.
So from our side, we are already working on a new map, which is still in the testing phase, of course, so we're testing it right now. The map will be pretty cool. And I think afterwards we're also developing on even another map for Grand Battle. And of course we're also working on a Frontline map, which players already know from the sandbox. So there will be a lot of new content for Grand Battle, of course.
Working with Wargaming, in the beginning everyone was a bit like, will this work? But we quickly found out that it's really awesome to work with Wargaming. And one thing that we learned, or what I heard there when I was in Minsk, they have this slogan: one game, one team. And I think that's really fitting, because it's not about Bongfish or Wargaming. It's about team and making something great.
I hope that you all really enjoy our game mode that we created here. So we are all huge World of Tanks fan, and we hope that we did something that you like.
The British Splash Damage studio also contributed greatly by doing the level design part and prototyping this mode. So we would like to thank them as well. And of course, we should mention the Minsk studio, our main and key studio of the World of Tanks developers. The guys finalized the whole mode, did final tests, and transferred everything into our development repositories to make the mode possible. It was a good example of teamwork and concerted efforts. The new maps will be added, of course. They will probably be I mean, they certainly will be the brand new maps specifically developed for this mode. We're also considering the possibility of adapting some of the random battles maps to this mode. Well, in general, we are technically capable of making the maps bigger, expanding them, so we will work intensively on it. We will certainly keep all players posted, show new features on the sandbox, comment tests, and talk about it. A lot of preparatory and test work has been done in the last year, so we will demonstrate the results of this in the next year to the fullest.
And but hopefully this is just the beginning and many more great things are coming.